I'm going through my channel comments because I don't let people just post lies and crap and trolls, and you do have trolls, you know, and I want to show you this is what the core of this video is about. This guy, Yankees Rain, so he doesn't use his full name, so, you know, and this guy could be the shooter as far as that goes, you know, and I want you to pay attention to this. He says, check out that chapter story on this guy. Needs meds man. Okay, and so that's what we're going to talk about, is that chapter. That is really what this video is about. That guy is exactly right, and that guy is the person that did that video. That guy. And it says Webb accidentally shot himself with a tripwire attached to a shotgun. He was stalking his ex-wife, who filed a restraining order on him. Before he moved there, he said there was a tunnel under Southwood prostitution ring. You need meds, man, please. Okay, this was harassed by a neighbor. And if you'd watched the video, then you would see the proof that what the stalking was in the first place was 2 emails sent in 18 months, non-threatening emails. That's what they called stalking. They changed the law like a month before this gets filed on me. I suspect they literally changed the law to say that sending emails was stalking because of my case, because she lived 150 miles or 100 miles away, and I hadn't seen her, talk to her in a year and a half, and I'd sent 2 non-threatening emails. That was the stalking. That's what they call stalking. Of course, she's alleged to be involved in the shooting by her former boyfriend, and her lifelong friend was Rosa Rodriguez, one of the main secret police that was involved in the murder attempt of my life, you know. Before he moved there, he said there was a tunnel under his house with a prostitution ring. You needs management. That was just a blatant lie, you know. But there is a video that I did yesterday or day before yesterday called "Freaking Attic," and it talks about the Hobbs home. And you know, and so I tell the story of the Hobbs home, where my daughter recognized there was a light on in the attic of my Hobbs home, and you know, but I thought the ex-wife at the time, you know, I caught her sneaking in my house, so I thought it was her all them years. I didn't even think about it. And it wasn't until after I shot here, then I hear these slander going around. Oh, he thought people was breaking his Hobbs home too. And I go, what? What are you talking about? I'm going, my daughter saw a light up there, and I'm going, it was Cindy that was up there. And then I'm thinking, you know, and so I asked Cindy online, Cindy, you know, I know you were in my house. I proved it. But were you in the attic? And she said, I didn't get in the freaking attic. You know, that's what that's about. You know, so Cindy didn't get in the freaking attic. Somebody else got in the freaking attic. So I think the Hobbs home was rigged too. But that was brought up by that guy and this guy, Yankees Rain, and Stay on Your Meds. So this is all slander right here. I don't even approve it. You know, I mean, he don't get a post on my channel and because I get to review it, but I want to show you what I see every day. I see this slander. He's trying to spread these lies, but what he's doing is this guy, that chapter, and that's what we're going to look at. Here's the channel name, That Chapter. He says, hello, my name is Michael, and welcome to That Chapter. Hope you find true crime stories, unsolved mysteries, creepy tales, lots of spooks, etc., you know, with Irish humor, okay? And joined 2017, 166 million views, okay? And it shows he's in Ireland, okay? And so this is the guy that made the slander video. I turned him in to Sheriff Criner and to the Texas Rangers because I believe that it's possible he was paid to create this video, you know, and when you go through it, it's real easy to tell. He was trying to purposely deceive the public, and he did, by a million views on this video, and to smear my name and to cover up the capital attempted murder of my life, but also then the other murders connected to this, you know. And so I think you could, come make a case that this guy's involved in accessory to capital attempted murder. And I'm going to show you here. Buddy Webb and the Disturbing Tunnels Under Texas. You can find this on your YouTube. You can listen to the whole thing. We're going to listen to parts of it. 1.3 million views posted in January 2019 by That Chapter. And this guy's got almost 1 million subscribers. Now, I've got just a little bit I'm going to let you listen to here.
Nowadays, much like the activities of John Lang, the nefarious activities of the...
Okay, and so one, he mentions John Lang. He compared me to John Lang. And if you don't know who John Lang is, I'm going to show you. It's a real famous case, okay? And he showed you, let's go back if we can find it. There we go, right there. Okay, John Lang posts, says, just want to give you guys a heads up. If anything happens to me in the next day or two, it will be the result of Fresno PD. My neighbor and an employee at my job pay less breaks and so on. Okay, and I think it was just a couple days later, he's dead. Okay, and so that's the famous story of John Lang. He's saying the police did it in advance. He's saying if I die, the police did it. Okay, that's what this guy's compared me to, the famous John Lang story. Now I'm going to show you here. Here's what John Lang I just found on the internet. The coroner ruled that death, a man found in a burning Fresno home, a suicide. The police had originally reported that Lang had been stabbed in the back. Isn't that amazing? You know, that's why everybody's going 2 days before this guy died. I don't know when he died, or just as the 14th. So let's say a week before he died, he says, if anything happens to me, the Fresno police did it, right? That's what he says. And then he dies, they rule it a suicide, and he's stabbed in the back. So they're, you know, they were saying, and then they come back and change their story because, you know, everybody jumped on all over that. You know, you don't stab yourself in the back, set your home on fire when you're committing suicide a week after you say that the Fresno police, you know, you're worried that they're going to kill you, you know, and that's what he's referring. And I want to bring up at this time a death over in Lubbock, okay? And Andy Stover from Hobbs, New Mexico, my hometown. Stover denies medical examiner's suicide ruling. The reason I want to bring that up here, and this was in 2016, is because once again, here they ruled the suicide and his house was set on fire. That's what reminded me of John Lang. You know, the house is usually set on fire to cover up evidence, to cover up the murder, right? Not by people that are committing suicide. They don't commit suicide and then set their house on fire, right? And so the family's disagreeing here and saying that the family suspects foul play. All evidence indicates the fire was intentionally set. It says, and the family released a statement on Monday saying Andrew feared for his life, warned friends, family that someone may have been hired to kill him. And it's a longer story in that. There's people out of, you know, a connection back to Pampa, Texas, which is interesting. Organized crime, child sex trafficking. But anyway, this story of John Lang reminded me of the story of Andy Stover, which I think might be connected. His sister was a Facebook friend of mine, and then his girlfriend contacted me, Andy's girlfriend. So that might be another murder connected to all these other mini murders connected to here in Midland. So I just want to stop right there on this guy right here on that chapter.
Activities of the government, whether they be real or imagined, can be brought to places like YouTube and spread to thousands.
And see, I let an inside joke because that's what he's doing there. And you know, he's bringing it to YouTube to spread lies to thousands, and more than that, to actual millions, okay? And so I'm gonna do another little clip here of this guy, because we're not gonna listen to the whole 15 minutes.
In January 2012, Webb reported a suspected drug tunnel that went under Midland to the DEA.
That is ridiculous. I didn't report a tunnel going to the DEA. That's how ridiculous this guy is trying to spread lies. What I reported was a suspected tunnel coming from my house to the secluded truck unloading lane behind my house, where I was seeing the suspicious trucker traffic and I believe prostitution. I had two people at that store tell me prostitution was going back there, and I saw a young girl at the sleeper cabin 18-wheeler. I later did. And I'm going to show you another clip of this guy here. Slander video.
The court documents say he likely did it himself, accidentally.
Okay, see, and he wanted to make a point of that. What happened at the hospital minutes after I'm shot, I'm at the emergency room, Rosie Rodriguez up there, and at that time, I didn't know she was the lifelong friend of the ex-wife I'd filed divorce on 5 days earlier, right? And she's up there, Rosie Rodriguez, the detective, with the voice recorder. She's starting and stopping the recorder, and she's saying, yeah, but it's an accident, right? It was an accident, right? It was an accident, right? So I'm sitting there in shock, just been shot, right, in the emergency room, and you know, didn't know what happened because they ambushed me from the floor, right? And you know, and I finally say, yeah, it was an accident. It wasn't my accident. And she's starting and stopping, you know, the recorder. Oh, we got him saying it's an accident. But what I said was, it was an accident. It wasn't my accident, because I told her burglar alarm was going on my house. I thought the people breaking my house had accidentally shot me at that time. Now I know it wasn't an accident at all. It was premeditated murder, right? I wasn't shot with my gun. Okay, Rosie Rodriguez. We're going to see her in a minute.
Kept a small number of weapons in his house. The police and
okay, and here I want to show you. We'll just
check it was safe first.
Okay. Well, I'm going to skip that because we're listening again. But what it showed there.
His house.
There we go. Stop. Okay, tripwire went across from, and he is looking at the records that they're posted online as for the appeals case for that protective order hearing, right? And and just think about a protective order hearing. There were no, I wasn't no charges filed against me. I didn't plead guilty, not guilty. I didn't break the law, nothing. This was a protective order for somebody who lived 100 miles away. I hadn't seen her doctor in a year and a half. I sent 2 non-threatening emails to, right? A person that's alleged to be involved in the murder attempt by her former boyfriend, right? But anyways, here's the tripwire lie. And that's what that guy on my Facebook or on my YouTube channel posted this morning. He shot himself. He had a tripwire on his gun, and I'm gonna show you evidence here in a minute that's gonna show you that that is a blatant lie. But this guy wanted to make a point of it and spread it to 1.3 million people, because what he didn't tell you was there's no tripwire found in evidence. And the CSI Marty Barrett that picked up my gun, he didn't mention a tripwire. Neither did none of the other 10 police. The only person that mentioned a tripwire was Rosie Rodriguez, right? And like I said, there is no tripwire in evidence. More than that, proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. It was all lies to cover up this home invasion failed murder.
Check it was safe first, hence then turning.
Okay. I'm gonna go on to his next little clip.
No good in some place, and I am very sure there are actual tunnels under parts of Texas used for people smuggling, drug trafficking, all that stuff. You ever see Sicario? That movie makes sense. Buddy Webb's Insanity Diarrhea that he's used on his YouTube channel.
That right there, that's what I'm going to name this video, Insanity Diarrhea. And I someday I would like to see this guy go to prison, because as far as I'm concerned, it's not just the many crimes, non-stop inhumane crimes that have been committed against me, the maiming, the mutilation, and the dismemberment, the home invasion, the thousands of burglaries, the thefts, the slander, the smearing my name. And the only thing I did was report crime to police. That's all I did. I bought a home that was already rigged where the previous homeowner had just died. And it looks like they murdered him first. But we're going to see that, it's connected to the suspected murder of Mike Lawhon, to the murder of a young girl, and multiple murders. That's what this guy's really, and homes all across America rigged like this one. That's what that guy is really trying to cover up, is multiple murders. Okay. And I want to show you here, I got the one last video here. Little clip from the ex-wife that were recorded 4 months before the murder attempt, and I played this in a recent video, but I'm going to show you that the video here. It's me and her talking. This is a free will conversation, okay? And listen.
Wow, who the hell is going to follow the cash? Follow the cash. Who's going to make money off this house being broken in? And how in the world can you know and say somebody's coming across the attic and breaking in the house and turn around and go, here's what you're going to do. You're going to pay me $1,800 or $1,200 a month, or I'm going to lie about everything that I've seen and tell everybody you're crazy. You're the only one that was going to make money off the house. Does that tie you back into the people breaking the house?
No.
Conspiracy?
Absolutely not.
Huh?
Absolutely not. In your mind, yes. Obviously it does. In your mind, obviously it does.
I'm standing from the outside.
No, it's absolutely not true.
I stand
The
from
truth of the matter is that's what Greg suggested.
That's what Greg suggested. Okay, so here she admitted on tape before the murder attempt that she tried to extort $1,800 a month from me over the crimes of this house, and the threat was if I didn't pay, she was going to tell everybody that I was crazy, and that's exactly what she did. And this guy on that chapter, she went to court and perjured herself and called me delusional, called me crazy, and that's what this guy is spreading to 1.3 million people. That's what I want to show you there. Okay. Now we're just going to look at some of the evidence here. Okay, here I want to show you the home. Okay, Google Earth picture, and here's the big parking lot. This is where it's suspected they were having the people parking. They were at the pedophile parties and the underground oil show party, Permian Basin International Oil Show, the famous parties. They're parking here. I believe they're going underground here. I have reason they were coming back here. You can see where that ditch was, where the ground's a different color, where it's cut right there, coming to my house, and in the backyard was one of the 4 3-bedroom $1 million underground homes. Okay, this is the neighbor over here had the suspected tunnel entrance in his backyard, and here's where I was ambushed and shot. And it's believed the homeowner before me died here, or actually the neighbor told me he did. So I just wanted to show you the 50,000 foot view. Okay, and I want to show you here Detective Rosie Rodriguez in court and testified, sworn testimony, that there was a tripwire attached to my shotgun. And that's what he brought up, right? And you know, that's what that in that video is brought up. She said, but remember, there's no tripwire in evidence, okay? And out of a dozen police caught on camera, then none of them but Rosie Rodriguez mentioned a tripwire, and triple proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun, okay? So I mean, that's real clear. She's lying. Come to find out, she's a lifelong friend of the ex-wife alleged to be involved in the shooting. This here police report, Tony Barrett, okay, he was the crime scene investigator. And Tony Barrett saying, he says, I proceeded to the 3802 Fair Circle to process the crime scene, photographed the scene. I collected evidence from the scene, including the shotgun. Didn't say anything about collecting a shotgun, a tie wire, tripwire, nothing, no tripwire in evidence. He's the guy that picked up my shotgun. He's the crime scene investigator. Like I said, nobody mentions a tripwire except Rosie Rodriguez. That was a lie. Plus, proof shows that I wasn't shot with my gun. The other thing here I'm showing on this one, he checks into evidence 4 live Remington 12-gauge shotgun shells from my gun. Notice that he omits the size of pellets. And that wasn't an accident, I'm sure, because the size of pellets proved I wasn't shot with my gun. So that was it. But I saw this, and I made a point was, oh, there's no empty shotgun shell. The only thing listed in evidence was 4 live shotgun shells. And if I was shot with my own gun, there'd be an empty shotgun shell, right? I made a big point of that, posted all over Facebook. Here's proof I wasn't shot with my gun, right? 2.5 or 22 months later, it looks like they went in and hand wrote it on the evidence logs because I made a point of this no shotgun shells. 2 years later, it was handwritten in. That's how dirty this is right here. This is a premeditated capital attempted murder because nobody accidentally breaks into a home and accidentally shoots the owner. I'm home. I'm the guy reporting burglaries to my house. And what was really happening, I trapped a burglar in my guest bathroom. And maybe these police were working with the burglars and they were in an underground party under my house when I trapped that burglar, and they couldn't arrest the burglar in the bathroom or it would expose their tunnels and their parties and their homes and all the other murders and crimes. So then they decided to kill me. That's one guess. Here's the proof showing I wasn't shot with my gun. The size of pellets from my shotgun shells here are 2.5 sizes different than what's removed in my gun. That's absolute 100% proof I wasn't shot with my gun. There's even more proof right here, okay? And you know, this here. The surgeon says that he removed a lot of plastic from the wound. Well, there wouldn't be a lot of plastic in here. There's a 1-piece wadding that was removed by the ER doctor supposedly, and but here it's believed that I was shot with a plastic tip pellet-filled bullet called a Glazer safety slug to make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun. And you can see this bullet. See, there wasn't enough physical room for me to be shot with a 4-foot-long shotgun. And then I had Lisa Rogers tell me I was shot with a 45, and they make these Glazer safety slugs for 45s. So this fits all the evidence right here. The size of pellets are the right size. It has the plastic. It fits in a 45 handgun, and it fits in the space I could be shot. So I believe I was shot. They bought a special ammunition to make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun, and that way they could rule my murder an accident, and it added $500,000 to the benefit, okay? But I just want to show you that. This guy's spreading these lies to you. Here I want to show you this one. This is amazing too. Here, 2 weeks before this concrete was poured behind Home Depot, I was back here with Homeland Security. This was last year, July 2nd last year, and I was showing them where I believe that tunnel is. You could see it on the map right here. Remember I showed you on the map, goes directly to my house. And here Ricky Ronaldo said, I used to live in your house. Me and my brother used to go in the tunnels under it. I screenshotted him telling me that. Well, anyway, I showed to Homeland Security, which is supposed to take care of human trafficking, right? They're supposed to take care of it. But I think, because we got $1 million underground homes and they were having oil show parties for $1 billion oil companies, right? And people, then they're taking payoffs to cover up murders. And that's what they're doing, human trafficking murders. So they come back here and poured concrete 2 weeks after I showed them where I believe this tunnel was at. Okay. And then I recorded a woman on the phone telling me there's 4 3-bedroom underground homes, 25 foot deep. I had another woman, Layla O'Brien, said she worked on this project. It's finished in 1987, cost us $7.35 million, called Safe Houses. Okay. I was telling Sheriff candidate Joe Lozano about this over the phone on a recorded phone call, and he says, buddy, that's where Sheriff Painter used to hide out. Okay. And then a woman says, buddy, go look up your address on Google Maps. 3802 Fair Circle, go to maps.google.com, and you look on the block screen, and in my backyard you see this large facility. I call it a 3-bedroom home buried 25 foot deep, the bunker. Okay. And over here on the satellite view, it's not there. You drive down the alley, it's not there. But you look on Google Maps today and you'll see that in my backyard. I believe that's one of the 4 $1 million underground homes. That's where the oil show parties were going on. That's connected to all the crimes here. That's what Mike O on that chapter is really trying to cover up. And, and that might be where he got paid by these $1 billion oil companies. They don't, I'm thinking they don't want the public to find out they're having oil show parties with, sex parties, and they're murdering little girls that won't prostitute, right? And they're connected with multiple murders. They're trying to hide this. They're trying to cover this up, and they're destroying my name, an innocent crime victim that's supposed to be dead when they tried to kill me, right? And so I'm just show you how much evidence. Let's look at Rosie Rodriguez. They tried to disable this camera, and this was taken just a few hours after I was ambushed and shot, and she's in my bedroom. The police report for this night right here was hidden from me illegally for 7 years. Okay, and so she wasn't identified until 2018 by Empire Private Investigation, but we knew who she was because you could see her, right? It was Rosie Rodriguez. I didn't know till 2 years after the murder attempt that she was a lifelong friend of the ex-wife. Okay, so here you can see her in my bedroom. And then the second entry here is on February 1st, and the only person, there she is again, that's in both the entries of my house was Rosie Rodriguez. She's the main player. She's the one that made up the tripwire lie. I wonder if Rosie Rodriguez is not the would-be killer. I mean, she was caught lying multiple times. Here, before the murder attempt, the ex-wife took my life insurance books without my knowledge, and they showed that if my murder was ruled an accident by her lifelong friend, Rosie Rodriguez, that I had accidental death insurance, and it added $500,000. 2 times base pay, it's $200,000, another $250,000 on top of the home and the 401k and everything else. Altogether, I estimated $1.6 million, and that only include the $1 million underground home in the backyard where they were having the oil show parties at. Okay, and so in court is when we found out that Rosie Rodriguez was the lifelong friend of the ex-wife that's alleged to be involved in the shooting. Because the ex-wife's boyfriend contacted me and said, do you think she had anything to do with it? And I said, well, I think she's in Lubbock. And he says, I think she had a lot to do with the things she told me, and she threatened to have me killed too. And I have a screenshot of him saying it. It was entered in court. And, but in court, we saw before court, we noticed that Rosie Rodriguez and the ex-wife are sitting together and visiting like they're old friends. And sure enough, they were. So my attorney just asked Detective Rosie Rodriguez, if they knew each other, right? And she said, yeah, I've known them. We went to school, and I guess elementary and junior high. They known each other all their life. I didn't know that. And see, when I got to 7-Eleven, minutes after I crawled out, I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut, crawled out, pulled myself in my truck, drove to 7-Eleven. Rosie Rodriguez showed up, climbed in the front seat of my truck, and then said on the police reports she wasn't even there. Okay. Okay, here I want to show you here And this having to do with the neighbors, and I just made a video on that. And that's what that guy that just posted the slander comments, you know, that was fooled by that guy, you know, on that chapter or whatever. And I want to show you here. And once again, this is Rosie Rodriguez, and she was talking to these next door neighbors in this house right here, you know. And I was informed the older teenage son parked his vehicle on his property next to Buddy Webb's residence. In the morning, his cars were slashed. I was told he began to park on the other side, and his tires were no longer slashed. Well, I've never slashed a tire in my whole life. And more than that, the front of my house was watched by cameras. I didn't even know this for 2 years. This was all to smear my name. I found it in the police reports I got 2 years later, okay? And it was lies told by this, I believe, by this neighbor right here. That's the neighbor that was in the backyard that was harassing me just a couple weeks. I made a video about it. Okay. But she goes on, he suspects her teenage sons were digging tunnels from their home and stealing his belongings. That's another lie that Rosie Rodriguez, she lied, excuse me, lied and lied and lied and lied and lied, okay? I didn't suspect that the sons were digging tunnels. I mean, you know, that's ridiculous. What happened at the hospital, she says, do you have any idea who might have done it? And I said, well, I seen the neighbor's sons pull up in front of my house before I was shot. That's the only thing I said right there, you know. And then all of a sudden it becomes, you know, they're digging tunnels and stealing his belongings. And I never said stealing. What they're stealing from me, they're stealing, the people breaking in my attic are stealing heating, cooling, electricity. They're stealing services from me. And I don't believe it's his sons that are sleeping in the attic, you know. And so anyway, more lies. What I'm showing in this picture was the underground suspected tunnel entrance in the backyard of the house. Wasn't there in 08. It was put in between 08 and 09. It's not there on the Google Earth measure. It is there on December 5th, 29. And during this time is when Mike Lawhon died. So sometime during this time, the suspected tunnel entrance. So I mean, I've wondered if this neighbor didn't put in this tunnel entrance so he could get to the underground home here. And then maybe he knows something about Mike Lawhon being murdered here, you know. And then I move in as the next unsuspected owner, and I trap that burglar, and I'm ambushed and shot. And of course, I'm reporting to the police crimes, and they're involved in the crime. So, you know, they tried to get rid of me, you know. And so here it is on this date on 2014, and I'm posting on Facebook, look in the backyard, there's a suspected tunnel entrance. Well, they took it out, you know. At the same time, here was another suspected tunnel entrance, and they took that live tree out. You know, that's the same thing as I saw on the log files for the evidence logs. You know, I make a big point of, hey, there's no empty shotgun shell, so they go in and they handwrite it in 22 months later. You know, that's what's going on to cover up this premeditated home invasion, capital attempted murder, you know. And so you can see there it's gone. So has they ever been asked, you know, about this? You know, I believe, you know, you look, they're probably going to find there was a tunnel that went over here, this underground home, and this underground home's connected to here, and it also connected over there, and that's where they're doing their sex trafficking. You don't see that. Okay, and this is what we listened to on the phone call right there, you know, and that's the transcript of it. You're going to pay me or I'm going to tell everybody you're crazy. I made a mistake. So she admits to felony extortion before the murder attempt. And she says she's going to tell everybody she's crazy. So then 22 months after the murder attempt that she's alleged to be involved in, she goes to court and she carries out the extortion threat. He's very delusional, right? And she does it with her friend, Detective Rosie Rodriguez. And so I got both of them she tells the tie wire lie, right? And here both of them carrying out this extortion threat against me, right? This is organized crime. They need to be charged under the RICO Act, you know. I mean, that's all there is to it. Burglary, theft, extortion, murder, attempted murder. And it's more than just me, and I'm going to show you that here. I think this one is probably where I'll start. I'm on Facebook, okay, and this guy, Aaron Packelhofer, okay, and he writes me and he says, but can I ask, there were 4 people who were murdered, died in your house. What are their names? Okay. And you notice he put a question mark at the end. It was a grammar error. And I had a lot of people point that out. Oh, he wasn't telling you before, he was asking, which is ridiculous because he didn't say 3, he didn't say 8, he didn't say 16 people, right? It wasn't a question. He made a grammar error, is all there is to it. And, you know, he put a question mark where he meant to put a period. And so that's what told me that there was 4 people been murdered, died in my house. Aaron Peckelholder. Obviously, he knows the name of them. That's why he asked me. And then his friend, Lisa Friss, and they might have been in business together. She wants to make it a big point that he's a Mason. I know you're a Mason, Aaron, okay? Buddy always wanted to communicate with the Masonry group. What? And I'm like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. I mean, she's making that stuff up, you know. Buddy didn't. I don't even know what you're talking about. I make no secret about me and a Mason. Making no secret, you know. And you know, and so he gets mad at her because she's saying, why didn't you invite Buddy to one of your Mason groups? And so what I think Lisa was trying to say here, and I think Lisa knows something, that maybe these 4 murders has some connection to the Masons here in Midland. You know, that's what I'm wondering. You know, is that how y'all read it? Okay, so let's talk about that. 4 people murdered, died in my house. 3 months before Mike Lawhon, the previous owner, died, this guy goes missing from Odessa. He's never been found, okay? Rini Escobar Sanchez. Well, a former neighbor, Marilyn DeLucia, told me Mike died in my house, and then she said somebody else died here first. And I've wondered if it ain't Rini Escobar Sanchez. There's a longer story to that. I actually sent Crime Stoppers a tip saying maybe this guy was buried on the west side of my lawn where I smelt a death smell. And then just a few days later, they arrested a guy that confesses to his murder, but they never find his body. Okay, this is Mike Lawhon, the previous homeowner that died right before I got here. That was in that video. You know, 2 weeks before I got here. 27 years old, okay? And what I've just found out, he was telling his friends that people were breaking into this house before he died. These crimes were going on. And remember, Layla O'Brien told me, you know, when she worked on this project, it was put in 1987. Actually, that neighbor over there, he told me one time, last 4 people live in your house didn't live there long. Well, the last one's dead, right? And then I crawled out on my hands and knees, saved my life, or I'd be dead, you know? And so I fully believe that they murdered Mike Lawhon. He died the week before the 2008 oil show started. That's what it's saying there. And then the Odessa American posted one death notice, said he died in Fort Worth, then posted a second one, changed the location of death, say he died in Midland. And, you know, obviously he died, you know, he was murdered here and taken to Fort Worth. And this here is a current Crime Stoppers. The remains of a 14 to 21-year-old girl were found outside of Midland in 2013. Okay, and so here's the details and all that. I've been contacting the sheriff and the Texas Rangers because my friend Angie Munguia Hurley told me about a young girl that was murdered at a 2010 oil show party. And during that time, she was leaving my house and at the party in 5 minutes. I know that because we was talking on the phone as she drove. Okay, so I believe she was driving around, parked in Home Depot, going underground there, coming back via that tunnel and in the underground homes. I believe the oil show parties were there in the underground homes, and that's where this young girl was murdered, and then her remains are found in 2013. And so there's 2 murders right there. There's you know, suspected murders, Rini, Mike Lawhon, the young girl, and then me, okay? And another thing this guy didn't tell you is that, you know, here I am crawling out after I'm ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut, is that I'm at the hospital. I'm going, alarms were going off, sirens kept going off. Burglar alarms in my attic were going off before I was shot. I knew I was under a home invasion. And see, that's where they're going, he said it was an accident. But you know, I didn't say it was my accident. I said burglar alarms were going off. And that's well documented. But now homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and multiple other states are reporting people in the attic. I've got, more than a half dozen police scanner calls just in Midland, Odessa, where the police are called over to other homes to investigate because people are being reported in the attic, and I believe they're reporting they're tampering with their alarms. And you know, that's what's going on here. This is widespread. And then people all over the country in other states. And so I don't know what my last one is. This here is might be part of the reason that we're having this massive cover up, and because I got I offered the $2,000 reward for the secret police. After I returned from the hospital, I found pictures of police in my home. I ordered the police reports, and I didn't get a report showing any police here. Okay, so I had pictures and no report. Okay, so I sent them pictures to the mayor and the chief of police and the sheriff, and nobody would name them. I finally offered a $2,000 reward and nicknamed them the secret police. Okay, 6 years of death threats goes by, repeated break-ins in my house, and people going, I'd sell that home if I was you, because they're trying to terrorize me from my home because it has an underground home in the backyard, and they've been breaking into it and they've been killing people, right? And so so in 2018, Empire Private Investigation names all of the secret police, all 11 of them, okay? And now remember, only one of the 11 mentioned a tripwire, Rosie Rodriguez, one of them 11, okay? But when the next year in 2019, I find out there was a police report all along. They had illegally withheld it from me. It had been subpoenaed in 2013 before the protective order hearing. Okay, and it showed me on the timestamps that Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale were at or in my home, and they wasn't seen arriving on the security cameras that saw Woodward and Naylor. Okay, and that's what this is showing, the timestamps, because here's when the outside cameras were disabled. So basically, I'm seeing calling out at 10:42, 11:01, Woodward and Naylor arrived. And then we're seeing Matt Davis and Dickey here, and then Dickey's in my house at 11:05, and they're not seen arriving on the camera. So here 11:01, they're seen here arriving, and they're not seen arriving. You know what that means? They were under my house, and if they were under my house, that means they're the ones that probably shot me. Okay, so then 5 police officers at or in my home. That's why they hid the police report, is because it proved that they were under my home, and it looks like cops shot me, and that's probably why part of the reason that my name's being smeared. Okay, and then the cameras gets disabled, and so after that, then they could come and go all they want. And so the timestamps was what's important. And here I'm going to show you again on the outside security cameras at 11:01, Woodward and Naylor. Now the first one to arrive was the sheriff from a different county, Martin County Sheriff John Woodward, now a felon, a convicted felon, and followed by the late Midland Deputy Sheriff Mike Naylor, who died in 2014 as supposedly in the line of duty. Okay, 2 of the secret police are dead. 6 of them that were identified by Empire Private Investigations don't even have their name listed on the police report. Okay. And here is Lieutenant Dickey that was in my house at 11:05. I know his mom. I called for him to tell the truth because obviously he come into my home. Obviously he knows who tried to murder me in my home. Maybe he did it, you know. He was the lieutenant. He was a high-ranking police officer, and he came into my home from the now-removed trap door the ex-wife had told me about and from where I had been shot from, along with them other police officers. Okay, and then one of them was Davis, and here just last year, Davis posts on my YouTube channel, okay, and he says, I stole the evidence and nobody will ever find out, buddy. Matthew Davis. Davis was with Dickey. They were the first ones at my house. Maybe Davis was the shooter, and I knew evidence was stolen. Remember, I told you that already, and there's the proof. I mean, how much proof do you need? And here, just showing some of the addresses in Midland, Odessa, where people reported being traumatic. These are homes rigged like mine. You know, I wonder how many people have been, how many murders have happened that were ruled accidents, were ruled natural causes in these homes. Because I was told that these doctors were murdering for profit, and I believe it's connected to tunneling under these homes. And maybe there's your big deal because that's the money trail. And so I just want to share that with you. This is Buddy Way of Midland, Texas.